my co-MC tonight, the one and the only, Annie Chung.
Thank you. Let's give a big hand to Kelly Wong. Kelly, sorry. Ever since Kelly stepped in to be our Executive Director of API Council, our membership grew, we stabilized. I think that we advocated and fought for quite a bit of money for our community. But most of all, Nancy, I think that we've cemented, our relationship with you and your staff, because literally for the past 10, 11 years, you came every year to celebrate the API Heritage Month with us. We really appreciate that. So now my job is to thank all our sponsors for making tonight's reception possible, and all the sponsorship fees that we collected tonight go to pay for this reception. So thank you very much. So we want to mention our gold sponsors tonight. First, Jesse and Claudine Chang Foundation. So please wave if you... And Cruz, if Yo-Yo's in the room. We have Perkins Coy, of course, our very, very famous and well-respected pro bono attorney, Alan Lowe. Yeah. I don't know where Alan is. He's somewhere. Yeah. Oh, Alan, right there. Yeah. Our silver sponsors tonight are the YMCA of San Francisco. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. And, of course, our San Francisco Chinese Chamber of Commerce. I think I saw Donald, a number of our chamber board members. And also Florence Fang, a very good friend of Nancy, the Florence Fang Family Foundation. Thank you, Florence. Our community sponsors are the Avenues Consulting, Sean Wilford, Rosepack Community Fund Foundation, and China Life. We have also a lot of important people. All of you are important joining us tonight. But if Kelly and I were to mention all of your names, we will be here till midnight. So if you don't mind, we're going to only point out and introduce and welcome our dignitaries tonight. So we start off with our Board of Supervisors President, Aaron Peskin. Aaron. So we have Connie Chan representing District 1 Supervisor and Chair of our very important Budget Committee. We have District 2 Supervisor Catherine Stephanie. And we have District 8 Supervisor Raphael Mendelman. And I think District 10 Supervisor Asher Safai. With us tonight is also our assessor recorder, Joaquin Torres. And we have our SFI Chief, Janine Nicholson. We have Jenny Lam with our Unified School Board tonight. Thank you, Jenny, for all your hard work. And Judge Victor Wong. Victor is here. Now I'm going to introduce some of the commissioners that are joining us tonight. We have District 4 Supervisor Joe Engadio joining us tonight. Thank you. So Commissioner Sarah Wong. Sarah. We have Commissioner Eddie An, Eddie. And Commissioner Malcolm Young. And Goretti Lui, and Lydia So. And rounding up our commissioners, we have Commissioner Stephen Lee and Commissioner Gail Gilman. And now we have a very special person to bring up to the podium. But let's bring up Gordon Chin. Everyone knows Gordon. Yay! Gordon, Kelly and I heard that you just turned 21.
So Gordon just turned 21. There will be an open bar later for those who want to celebrate with him for a glass of red wine. But I thought it would be really nice that if we can all sing happy birthday to Gordon.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gordon.
let's hear from Gordon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Callie. Actually, I'm 75 as of Saturday. And those of you who know my partner, Dorothy, she is 75 today. So I have 2 days seniority over here. Nancy can tell you seniority is very, very important. I first met Nancy in 1972. Were some of you born yet? I was an intern in the office of the late Congressman Philip Burton. Just a mentor, and is a giant in American history. And it was really exciting to be in that office in 72 because you had all these stars coming in and out of the office every week. Willie Brown, John Burton, Nancy Pelosi. So we all sort of knew, me and the other young interns, we all knew that these people are going to be doing great things for this country someday. And sometimes those prophecies come true. Now you flash forward to 2007 when Nancy was elected Speaker. I remember how proud a lot of the API Council members were that Nancy spoke and visited our annual meeting in Chinatown in June of that year. That was the very first API event that Nancy attended as Speaker. And personally, I had the privilege of introducing her that day and the honor of uttering those 2 historic and lovely words, Madam Speaker. So with no further ado, my 2 minutes is up. But I just want to thank you, Nancy, on behalf of the council and everybody here, for everything you have done for all of our API communities, for everything you have done for our wonderful city of St. Francis, and for everything you have done for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. So next up, we are going to bring up our board president, Aaron Peskin. As we wait for our board president, I'm going to call up the rest of the board, and we'll get ready for a group picture. Come on in.
Madam Speaker Emeritus, you know that when President Biden calls, you take that call, and I know that when London Nicole Breed calls, actually her chief of staff, I take that call. Let me say, as the supervisor who has had the true honor and pleasure of representing Chinatown for 16 of the last 22 years, and who was there at the birth of what is now the very robust API Council, that we are collectively profoundly grateful to you in your role, not only as Congresswoman, but as Speaker, for what you have done for this community, and we will never forget it. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi.
Can we get a group picture with the rest of the Board of Supervisors and Speaker Emerita? Jenny Lamb.
Connie.
Oh, Connie, Budget Chair, where are you?
Where's Rob? She's cutting money out of the budget right now.
Supervisor Connie Chang.
Connie is Connie.
Isn't Joel here?
You said they're either here or not. You can invite Dan Burnell up to be like, no, just
Okay, turn around here. Okay, let's.
Next, we're going to invite two key members of the API Council, and representing our JA community, we have Sandy Mori, who's the co-founder of Kimochi, and also John Osaki, who's the executive director of JCYC since 1996. So Sandy and John.
Hello, everyone. As some of you may have heard the other evening when President Biden gave his State of the Union address, he referred to our Congresswoman Pelosi as the most effective speaker in the House in our history. And we're so proud of her that she is from here in San Francisco. One of the issues that we are very grateful for from the Japanese American community is that she had one of her staff was from our community, Harriet Ishimoto, who worked with her for many years. And she now, of course, is retired, but we appreciate the fact that she was on her staff here in San Francisco. I want to highlight some of the areas that Nancy has supported Japantown in terms of, especially for funding. Just recently, she made sure that we were allocated $4 million towards the renovation of the Peace Plaza, which is the open space in J-Town. And she was the person who helped put together funding for the renovation of Nihonmachi Terrace, which is a complex of affordable housing for seniors and families. Very important, as you know, housing is so important here in San Francisco. And she also was instrumental in making sure that the National Japanese American Historical Society had a place in the Presidio for their Historic Learning Center. And so we appreciate all the work that you have done for Japantown, our speaker. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening, everyone. John Osaki with JCYC, and I just have to share a quick story. So when we first started having our annual meetings with Congresswoman Pelosi, folks like Gordon Chin and Annie Chung were not calling her Congresswoman, they're calling her Nancy, right? And I knew that the day as an executive director I could call her Nancy, I made it. So a few years ago, I started calling her Nancy. And I'm very grateful that I'm still a little nervous calling you that, but I do call you Nancy. But I thought about what I wanted to share here tonight. And I thought about talking about the ways that you've been an endless supporter for our educational trio programs over the years that's allowed us to serve upwards of 40,000 students. I thought about talking about how you helped us renovate our headquarter building on Pine Street. But I wanted to share everyone a really quick story that was very meaningful to me. It actually happened the year that my father passed away. And that year, as chair of the API Council, I went out to greet the Nancy. And when I greeted her, the first thing she did was she didn't talk about politics. She didn't talk about the community. she asked me and she expressed to me condolences for my father. And I was incredibly touched by that. I thought, what an amazing staff you must have to know that. But really and truly, I just want to say that, you know, when it comes to race in this country, I think we all have to remember a little bit more that we're all part of the human race. And above all, we should really be measured by our humanity. So I just want to appreciate you, express my appreciation for that moment, and thank you for being so concerned about me as an individual, my family, and I just want to say congratulations for all your amazing years in Congress. Thank you very much.
So next up, we are going to bring up Claudine Chan for a special presentation.
Hello, Nancy. I'm very appreciative of the minute that I have today to express our appreciation to you. I remember back in 1991, a number of us, or I also went and speak with Nancy. I say, we really want to have Asian culture being communicated on a stamp. I think that a number of organizations and folks around the country have tried that for a number of years. And so in 1991, I felt like, well, we have Nancy in Congress. So I went and talked to Nancy, and Nancy immediately gets it, that this is part of our cultural heritage, and it's a great project in promoting appreciation of our culture, of our zodiac calendar, lunar calendar, that we should have a stamp. That the United States Postal Service should issue a stamp that really help to amplify our culture. So Nancy not only lent her personal support, but she asked members of Congress and friends of hers to put together a friends letter, right? What do we call that? Friends of friendly support letter that includes many names of members of Congress, and the rest is history. That was 30 years ago, Nancy. So this year we have the 30th anniversary of the stamp, and I'd like to present you the Year of the Rabbit stamp. This was presented on the first day of issue that was in San Francisco. Beautiful. Yeah. Wow.
So, Annie, before we bring up our guest of honor, do you have any stories to share?
Nancy, all the stories are good. So besides what Sandy said, Nancy is the most effective speaker. I think that I could think of Nancy as the most elegant representative representing us. And Nancy, you're also the most loved and the most respected and our dearest, dearest friend. So the story that I will share is when Nancy was fighting for Social Security and Medicare. So Dan and Nancy would ask us, to bring a few of our seniors along to show how important it is, really, right, to keep Medicare and then not to touch Social Security for 40 million older Americans. So everywhere, Nancy would speak about the need to protect these sacred programs. But the senior that we brought along to demonstrate the need for Medicare and also later for Affordable Care Act, her name is Corazon, Miss Corazon. And Nancy would remember our senior at every one of those meetings. She is just so good, right? She would come up to the senior, thank her, and then would actually say her name and then give her a hug. So our senior, even now, would remember all the warmth and love that you support. So that's my story.
Thank you, Annie. So actually, we were looking up some pictures, and actually over 11 years ago, around this time of year, the API community actually was in Chinatown at a banquet like this to honor Speaker Emerita's 25 years in Congress. So here we are, a few years later, to do the same, but with a few more wins under her belt and an API community that is stronger and more organized than it has ever been. During her tenure, she has been a champion in representing the needs of our API communities on the political agenda. As our families feared for their safety due to the rise of anti-Asian hate crimes and experienced a pandemic that uprooted our lives and businesses, Speaker Emerita Pelosi was the first Congress member to visit San Francisco Chinatown. She met with many of you to streamline solutions such as the COVID-19 Hate Crime Act and allocated federal funds to preserve Japantown. She also led efforts to pass legislation that would improve the lives of Americans everywhere, especially for our most vulnerable API families. After the Affordable Care Act, we witnessed the share of Asian and Pacific Islanders without health insurance decline by more than 50%. Her efforts to streamline the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act bolstered the community and jump-started the social mobility of our working-class families. So tonight, we are delighted to celebrate her work with our members and sponsors. On behalf of the community, we express our heartfelt gratitude for your sacrifice. You have made our country kinder and a more inclusive place. So let's give a warm welcome to Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you very much, Callie. Thank you all. Annie, thank you all for your kind words and for your friendship. I feel as if we are just one big family, a family of friends for many decades, but also an ever-expanding family of new friends, committed to recognizing the importance of the API community to not only San Francisco, but to our country. So let me see who these folks are. Callie Wong, as you know, the Executive Director of API, thank you for your kind words and your great leadership. Annie Chung, Self-Help for the Elderly. I think I visited you 45 years ago or so, long before I was in Congress. Gordon Chin. Now, Gordon is lovely, and we're celebrating his birthday, but what you should know is that we have honored Gordon in the capital of the United States for his community. Right, Gordon? Shake your head, yes. For his work in the community here, which is a model to the country. So every time I see him, I think of him being exalted in the Capitol. Thank you, Gordon, for your tremendous leadership. Sandy Mori, oh my gosh, and Jeff, haven't they been just wonderful leaders in the Japanese-American community? John Osaki, I knew your father, so that's why I was asking about how your family was doing, and thank you for your leadership as well. Claudine Chang, let me just say about Claudine and that stamp in 1991. Aaron, Mr. President, supervisors, she was persistent, dissatisfied. Just until we got the stamp, Claudine was not going to be still. Wouldn't that be an accurate characterization of your persistence, Claudine? And that was wonderful. Now imagine, it's over 30 years ago. We got that first stamp. It was the year of the rooster. Thank you, Claudine Chang, for that. I also want to acknowledge Luis Antonio from the Bayanean Center here, our Filipino community, and thank you to our Filipino veterans. Judy Young from the Southeast Asian Development Center. Patsy Tito from the Samoan Community Development Center, I saw her earlier. And I also want to acknowledge Jennifer Wolfert, the artist who made this beautiful, beautiful infinity flower here, so that we have that to remember all of this by. Florence Fang was the first person to endorse me when I ran for Congress. Where is Florence Fang? Are you still here, Florence? So anyway, to you younger people here, understand this. I have been working with the people, many of the people I just named and some others who are in this room, for 200 years, if you add it all. If you add it all up, 40 here, 50 there, 25 here, 30 there, and many of you 35 years, the number of years I've been in Congress. So when you praise me, I'm thinking of what you have done. What you have done. Because it is the fruit of your labor. How much we all learned about naturalization from the Chinese American community. Remarkable. Remarkable. When I went to Hiroshima to the Peace Memorial, be the first high-level American to place flowers there, and came home and learned from our Japanese American community what it meant to have that. And then it opened the door for President Obama to do the same thing. That was so important. But you made it important. Again, all of these things that we're talking about, when we were talking about, we were all sitting on the floor with our crying when the administration, it was a Democratic administration, by the way, too, that was changing welfare with so-called welfare reform. We didn't think of it that way, hurting us with the benefits and the rest, and we had to teach them that this policy was not working for our community. Well, the list goes on. So many things that we need a museum in Washington, D.C. to contain all of it. And that is what we're going to have. We've already have the beginnings of, and we'll make sure the name is correct, Asian Pacific American History and Culture, new museum of Asian Pacific American History and Culture. And as all of you know, our supervisors certainly know, representing you, this is a very diverse community. A very diverse community, and therefore we want this museum to reflect that diversity. But I say to my colleagues in the House, which is a very diverse caucus, 70% women, people of color, LGBTQ, over 70%, say to them, our diversity is our strength, our unity is our power. So we have to go into this museum with a reflection of how important the entire Asian Pacific community is to America. And yes, you talked about the discrimination and the crimes that are being played, just absolutely has no place in our society, and we have to make sure that people know that. So I thank all of you for the role that you are playing. I saw Phil Lee's picture up there. Sad to see our former mayor, first Chinese American mayor of San Francisco. But each and every one of you makes such a great contribution. So great, in addition to the museum, that just personally, when I come home from D.C. and drive through the community, I think, how sad for my colleagues that they do not have this community in their districts. How sad for them. Because it is indeed, it is something so spectacular. Filipino veterans, Pacific Islanders, Koreans, Southeast Asia, the list goes on and on, some we heard from tonight. So I thank the API Council, and I love when you call me Nancy, because we've known each other for over 200 years, and I feel that closeness, and I think of you when I'm there. Judy Chu is the chair of our caucus, the Asian Pacific American Caucus, Pacific Islander Caucus in the Congress, and she just represents our community so very, very well. I want to send you her regards, but I also want to accept your thanks and comments on behalf of all of the House Democrats who made so many of these issues possible, whether talking about health care, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you name it, in so many ways. But I want to thank each and every one of you for the contribution that you make to our society here, whether it's in the nonprofit sector, the profit sector, education, Head Start, anyone? There we go. YWCA, YMCA. Bum, 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 bum. But all of the organizations that represent so many aspects of our beautiful diversity. This means a lot to me because it's official, but also because it's so personal. Thank you so much. And thank you all for your kind remarks about my dear husband. He's coming along fine. I will bring your prayers and good wishes to him, as well as your kind words tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, AAPI. Thank you.
So we have one more presentation. Annie, want to take it away?
Yes. For this presentation, Nancy, we have 3 of our council members. So I invite Judy Young, I invite Patsy Tito, and Luisa Antonio to come up to make this presentation. Also, we have a Jennifer, our artist Jennifer Wolford, to come up to also talk a little bit about her creation.
I consider this the best part of the evening, and I'm so honored that I'm doing this. On behalf of the API Council, we would like to thank the most effective speaker in the United States Congress. And we need to be proud that she belongs here in our district in San Francisco, right? That's just like, always the icing on the cake. But on a very personal note, I'm going to be very quick. The Filipino World War II veterans has been my advocacy for so many years. And without the leadership of Nancy Pelosi, we would not have achieved, from access to the VA healthcare services to burial to the Congressional Gold Medal. And it really means a lot to me that, I am helping the API Council do this. So on behalf of the API Council, we would like to present a piece from Jennifer Wofford as a token of our appreciation for the leadership and everything that Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi has done for our community. And we also would like to invite Jennifer Wofford to say a few words about this piece.
Actually, I just want to do a small intro. I've known Jennifer Wofford for over 20 years at Out of Sight. She still looks the same. And I believe the last time I ran into Miss Wofford was actually at Speaker Pelosi's Get Out the Vote at Manny's. So let's give it up for Jennifer.
Thank you, Kali. So, as a San Francisco-born, San Francisco resident with a very complicated backstory involving being Filipino-American and growing up in Hong Kong, when the API Council asked if I would contribute an artwork to this occasion, the first thought I had was to customize and extract this image from a project I did called Jiayo, which if you look at the back of the print, on the flip side there, it's hard to see probably, but in the earliest months of the pandemic, when so many storefronts were closed, I was invited to do a temporary wrap for one of the buildings in Chinatown that was closed. And so I'd been working with this very kind of 80s pop style design for a while, and I had started it specifically because of the Loma Prieta earthquake in 1989. And as I've continued working with it the past couple of years, it's become more Asian American, the patterns have become more symbolic. But I think, in my mind, between thinking through the earthquake, thinking through the pandemic, thinking through just ideas of resilience, this phrase "jiayo" just came up for me as something that we could all unite around, and that felt like a nice expression for today. So anyway, thank you so much for being part of this resilience in the community and this power.
This is truly beautiful and something that I will display in the Capitol of the United States. I still have an office in the Capitol. with great pride. But as you showed the fuller panels that you have worked with, I'm reminded that there was a panel in San Francisco during COVID. It said, fight the virus, not the people. That was it from in the Smithsonian Institution. Thank you all very much.
Can I get all the program speakers up for a group picture, please? Claudine, Gordon,